Guys, good Friday afternoon. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille Show. We are live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world, across every social media platform possible. On the I Love CVille Show, we bring news and knowledge in an approachable fashion to you, and we put it on something that you carry constantly, your smartphone. Give the show a like and a share anywhere you're watching. If you have perspective you'd like to relay on air, just put it in the stream. I'm wearing a mask on this particular episode of the show because my friend Peter Castiglione and his daughter Lulu are in studio. Judah Wickhauer is our director. Why don't we go to the studio camera? And guys, you are on screen. Hey. Dad and daughter, hello.
Hi,
everybody.
Happy to be here.
I like your mask, Lulu.
Thank you.
It's very cool. I've seen her over the last few years at ACAC. You've gotten a lot taller.
A lot taller.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. I'm a huge fan of your father, huge fan of your father. And I think Charlottesville, and I'm saying this, is very lucky to have you, Peter, in here. You're a leader, you're an organizer, you speak your mind, you stand up for what you believe in and what's right. I think we're going to spend 40 minutes with this gentleman in studio just talking current events. Peter, you want to start? How about an open-ended question? Anywhere you want to go, we'll get this a little closer to you.
So gotcha. Sound good?
Yeah, anywhere you want to go, my friend. You start, and I'll adapt to you.
All right, let's just start with this for everybody out there that has been supporting the Charlottesville and county restaurant scene since last March. Just a big thank you. It's really been amazing how many people have just dug into online ordering and curbside pickup and to-go food, and the amount of regulars that have just waited until we could start seating our patios and hang with us, take reservations in the small amounts of time that we have them, and just send all the support out. It's the only reason Maya is still kicking, that and a lot of PPP government funding, because if it weren't for that, and it weren't for this just unbelievable support that we get locally from all of the restaurant regulars in Charlottesville, we would have been looking for a new way to put money into my daughter's college fund months ago, for sure.
Well, so that's great. Charlottesville, thank you for rallying around these guys. It certainly speaks volumes of how much we care about locally owned restaurants. Some challenges you are facing, most certainly a pandemic that no one prepared for, Peter. On top of that, some local hurdles. Before we go down there, maybe the impact of the industry, which you know better than most, the positive impact of what you provide the area.
A positive impact?
Yeah.
Of what I provide to the area?
Of restaurants in general.
Oh, well, I mean, it's not just a place you go to eat. It's a relationship. And we really see this with the whole pandemic situation. People couldn't come out. The people you would see 4 or 5 days a week, you know when their children are sick, when they're getting married, you know when some of their family is ill. You get these relationships with people. They come in and they become your friends, they become your family, they become the people that support your business monetarily on top of everything else. It's a really beautiful business. You get people from every cross section of the city and from other places. You've got doctors, you've got lawyers, you've got this person here, that person that works there, you've got the soccer mom, you've got people that are working construction, you've got everybody coming to the same place, and you really get a good opportunity to understand everyone because you get so many perspectives. And it was really rough there for a while when we were not able to coexist with everyone, and they weren't able to come to their restaurant and share their hopes and their fears and their worries and their dreams and their favorite spot. There's a lot of value to the restaurant business that is above and beyond having a drink and eating some good food. It's a bigger picture kind of thing, and it's a lot of us like to do it.
We try to spotlight the bigger picture kind of thing you're talking about. You have, from my count, 17 of your fellow restaurant owners watching. We try to highlight the bigger picture on the show by talking about your supply chains and how many different vendors are servicing individual restaurants. Can you try to put that in perspective for us?
I mean, it's amazing. How many deliveries do we take a week, just in a 7-day week, probably 30. Whether it's PFG or Cisco, your food products, the wine guys, the guys that deliver you the paper rolls, Rick from Resource Marketing, I've been doing business with him for 23 years. So many trickle-down situations. We purchase it, we resell it, we put it into the restaurant package, but we have to have it from somewhere. And speaking of getting those things and all the people that are affected by bringing it to us, the cost of a lot of those things has just gone through the roof when it comes to PPE materials. It is remarkable. You want to buy wine from the wine purveyor. You want to put in a big beer order because you've got a rehearsal dinner on a Friday that wants nothing but local beer. Now, those things have fallen by the wayside. Large parties, weddings. Think about what's coming up with the winter. Thanksgiving, Christmas, holiday parties from businesses, Valentine's Day. These were not all just big days that we in the restaurant industry looked forward to because it would bring in a lot of revenue and a lot of customers. The people that were supplying us with all of the things we need were looking at that same spot. And so as the restaurant business falls off 30% sales in September versus last year on the downtown mall, 16 to 18 restaurants and retail businesses have closed already just downtown since March. It's not just, you can rebuild your business. If your business shuts down because we have to protect everybody, then you can just start over. It's not just the mom and pop that own it and the couple of kids that they have in public school and a mortgage they might be paying. It's everyone else that has the jobs supplying the restaurant business. So it's just not as simple as, times are tough. You're a business owner. Figure it out. You can always just restart. That is the biggest understatement of the year.
That was, okay, and I'm going to offer some background here. I think many of you have been watching the show, and let's welcome McLean, Virginia, Arlington, Richmond, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Charlotte, North Carolina, Harrisonburg to the show. Lynchburg is watching. Folks outside Philadelphia now watching the show. I'll offer some background on what he's saying. Earlier this week, our Mayor Nikyle Walker, in a statement she made on council, she said, if your business fails, just start a new one.
In a nutshell, that was pretty much what she said, yeah. And that's what got everybody really scared.
How did that make you feel? Put in perspective what you have invested, sweat equity, personal, emotional.
All of that. All of that. And I'd like to talk about emotional equity later. Don't let me forget about that.
Sure.
What we've gone through as an industry, going to work every day with a thermometer and everybody signing off on a list. Where did you go this week? Is it okay if you come to work? And then having to wait on customers with mask on and rubber gloves and sanitize your hands every time you move a plate. You want to talk about an emotional toll. We used to be open 60% longer in any given business day. We're only working 40% the hours we used to work serving the communities, our operating hours. And we're twice as exhausted at the end of every day. Not because we're wearing the mask, we don't breathe as well, because of the anxiety that comes along with the equation. I said bring that up later, and I went straight to it. So I failed to remember the last question you asked.
How
did it make me feel?
The opportunity cost you have with your life of Maya Restaurant, starting it with your partner, Christian Kelly, who we love on this show as well.
Well, I think if anybody is a small business person, whether they just opened their restaurant 2 years ago, Elena Mangione's, you get in, you start going well, and this kind of thing happens. Or whether you're Christian and I, or Vincent and Tim, who've been doing it for 30 plus years, or anyone in the middle, or Mike Rohde at Rapture, or Will Ritchie with lots of different restaurant operations. Ivan down at Zocalo, we started that thing back in 2003. This is what we do, and we're not getting any younger, and we have families, and we have beautiful children, and we have hopes, and we have plans for them, and we have invested everything. We have borrowed money from banks. We have done everything we can to start a small business and cultivate it. And here's the kicker. It takes a long time to build a brand. It takes a long time to build a culture in your little tiny business that works within the system of Charlottesville. And so when you get that, you should be thinking, wow, we really put in a lot of hard work, 80, 90 hours a week for years Things are working now. We can hire more people. We can pay people more money, the people that have been with us. Ted has been with us for 14 years since we opened. Greg and Uwe in our kitchen, 10, 11 years apiece. These people have been working with us. We want them to keep getting raises and keep up with the way things work. Like Charlottesville doesn't get any less expensive to live in every year, so we would concurrently like to have a business that could support the cost of living for everyone around us. So to just drop that, go into debt, shut it down, hope the lawyers don't come sue you because you didn't pay rent for 6 months, pay all your debt back that you've accumulated, catch up on your meals tax, and then just start over? What, borrow another $1 million from a bank and retool while you're homeschooling your children and waiting for a pandemic to turn? No, thank you.
Peter Castiglione's smart guy. He's a good guy. Speaks from the heart. Had the pleasure of knowing him for some time now, and he's an advocate for this industry. In a 4-day period of time, we had the mayor say we need to consider banning indoor dining. We had the mayor said, if your business fails, just start a new one. And we then had City Hall, lack of better words, threaten the restaurant owners on the mall, saying if they don't pay their cafe rent by the 30th of October, we will repo your cafes from you because Charlottesville actually owns the space the cafes are on. What did you make of all that?
You know, I think there's just a disconnect. That's all. I mean, this is a weird times. People are struggling. I can't imagine being a city manager looking at the new budget. You know, they always say we have a deficit going into the budget, but this year there might actually be one.
Yeah,
for
I
the
think
first
this year
time.
there is one.
There actually may be one for the
First
first
time in a
time since
long
I moved
time.
to Charlottesville.
Right,
There might
right.
actually be a deficit.
It's
going into
not
the budget.
smoke and mirrors this year.
But I also want to say there are some wonderful people down there in the city. Doing business with the Commissioner of Revenue here in the city of Charlottesville, from Lee Edwards back in the day to Todd Divers and his crew. They are very friendly to businesses. They will work with you. They are not out to get you. And I know some of the people in the city that had to send those notices out, you know, they gave them to us and kind of shrugged and shook their head like, gosh, I'm so sorry I'm giving you this letter. The way that one was phrased, you just give us all the money by the 30th or we will remove
Repo.
your... I mean, wow, there's got to be a better way to present that.
That's more empathetic.
Well, I'm sorry to say, but the powers that be in the city of Charlottesville over the last 6 to 8 years, empathy and sympathy for the restaurant and hotel business is not something that we come across very often. Not from the elected officials and not from a lot of the people that work that are trying to help us out. Jason Ness, thank you very much for doing what you do. But in the big picture, it has been very frustrating over the years. And anytime we try to organize and just go state our piece, whether it's about a mills tax increase or about funding the CACVB, which would be a brilliant move, we usually end up just getting attacked.
So they may talk about your catfish, like the last time you spoke.
It was a trout. I don't even want to.
Right.
The whole goal was to come in here and to try to be positive and
Yeah.
to discuss our hopes and dreams for the near future, because we don't want them to be nightmares, which we all wake up with in the middle of the night. I mean, it's October. Come November, outdoor patio is going to be a thing of the past. I know the county gave out grants for heaters and for tent purchases and rentals and for outdoor accommodations so that people could try to keep that outdoor dining going as long as possible. We have a tent. We're going to put a couple of heaters in. We have not sat inside yet. We don't want to have to seat indoors if we don't have to. But that time is coming for all of us, and it's coming in a time of year that historically is always slow. December, January, February, March, those are the doldrums for the restaurant industry here in Charlottesville every year. So to add no outdoor dining, to have to move everybody inside, to have to increase the anxiety, to have to understand that there may not be any more government funding for just people in the world that go out to eat. I mean, you know, we're staring down the barrel of surviving until next April. So I don't see a vaccine coming before then. And until we have a vaccine, we're just going to have to keep doing what we're doing. Wear your mask, wash your hands, have a conversation with your customer. We have customers that sometimes sit down and we come out and say, hey, here's the way it's going to go. We're so glad you're here. When the server comes over, you need to mask up. If you get up and move around, please put your mask on. There's sanitizer on the way to the bathrooms. And sometimes people just look at you. They take their mask off, and they're like, I'm not going to put my mask on. And we say, well, go, leave. Go home and cook your own food. Go somewhere else. Because we don't know you. And responsible thing would be to if you wear your mask, it seems like everything's just fine. We've been doing it since March. We haven't had any issues. None of our staff have contracted COVID. We feel just safe enough, if everyone plays by the rules, to conduct business the way we're conducting it and hold on tight through the winter. Hope that the to-go models and the online and the curbside and the delivery stuff just stays strong. And again, I want to thank everybody that's doing that. We have people that order from us 2-3 times a week, 4 times a month. And we're going to need all of those people, everyone in this restaurant industry, to stay strong and stay steady if you want to see us in April.
You can give props to Peter Castiglione and share some love for Maya Restaurant. We are seeing that. We have Albuquerque, New Mexico now watching the show. Raleigh, North Carolina is watching the program. Charleston, South Carolina. Waynesboro, welcome to the broadcast. Andre Xavier, CVille Hop on Tour, CVille Travel watching the show. Hannah Matarazzo, I'm sorry I'm messing your last name up, Hannah. She's loving Lulu on the broadcast right now. Carol Thorpe is giving Lulu some props on the broadcast right now. Peter, you're getting some props on the feed. Bruno Moon says, wow, Mayor, just start a new business. Wow, I'm at a loss for words. Litza Lambrinos, way to tell it like it is, Peter Castiglione. Patty Zeller, giving you some props from Animal Connection. Way to tell it how it is. It seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong, I learn from you often that we're in almost 2 time periods here. The most immediate time period is making it through winter. The next time period is that time period till we get a vaccine and whether we see how ubiquitous it's rolled out and how accepting it is by America. We know a lot of Americans now don't take the flu shot, right? And then the third stage would be once we get the vaccine and then hopefully returning back to whatever the normal is. How do you see it?
I know that at 3:45 today, we're going to pick up Mom, and the 3 of us are going to get our flu shot.
You're going to get flu shots. Awesome.
Thank you, Dr. Ogan. You rock.
Nice.
Absolutely. And if anybody who does appreciate my daughter's
cheerleading.
Well, she's got
3
different colors in her hair. That's lasted for 3 weeks, and it's the easy stuff. Sarah Hatch over at Adara Hair Salon will be more than happy to take care of your kid's hair.
Peter, I love it.
And her sister. Her sister did your hair? Okay, cool. Well, let's spin it a little bit. There are some good things that have come out of this COVID-19 debacle, and one of them is art. We've been trying to figure out what to do with the restaurant when we move inside to create safe space. Out on the patio, we got these big feeding troughs for cattle, and we filled it up and put gigantic plants in. So when you're sitting down, there's a huge planter between you and somebody else. If somebody sneezed, the plant would catch it. So how do we do that inside? People do plexiglass, and so a lot of us caught what we call a COVID habit back in March. A lot of us that just have an artistic brain just started drawing and painting. And a lot of us realized that all of a sudden with our downtime, our houses were becoming art studios, and our significant others weren't always happy that there was nowhere to put any laundry because there were canvases sitting everywhere. Scotty Wilson, that goes to you. I've seen pictures of your house. So a good friend of mine, Regina Alpaw, it's hard to say, Alpaw, and Scotty Wilson started a Charlottesville Arts Collective on Facebook. And it was an opportunity for artists to share what they're working on, see everybody's photos. Now it's gotten to a point where people can start buying things. So it's like almost 900 people in this Facebook CVille Arts Collective thing. At the restaurant, we've had our buddy Mike Kleppinger, who does all our projects for us, build us some bases. So we're literally sliding 30 by 40 paintings and drawings into these table tents, and we're putting them on the tables in between the diners. So when you come in to eat, you won't be separated by a piece of plexiglass. You'll be separated by a piece of art that's 3 feet tall and 3.5 feet wide. this is a very interesting phenomenon that all of these people suddenly just start painting and drawing, processing the angst and the anxiety of the COVID situation in their own way. And now we have them in a collective group, and that collective group will start showing their work at the restaurant as a way to protect other people from dining beside other people. Kind of a fun aside.
Carol Thorpe says, Lulu, I'm loving your hair. I'm sitting in the chair at Bristles getting mine done as we speak, and I'm watching the show. Peter, thank you for standing up. Andre Xavier asked a tough question. I will throw it to you. This is a tough question. This is something that I'm doing on the show, that I've been doing the last few days on the show. Why is no one asking for the resignation of the mayor after this week?
Well, that's a tough one to put on me. I have dipped my head into the local politic for the last 6 or 8 years, budget meetings, fighting tax battles.
You've been the voice for the association, you and Mike.
We had a Virginia Restaurant Lodging Tourism Association Zoom meeting this morning at 10 a.m. and there was a lot of people with the from the hotels in that group, and I can't tell you just how frustrated everyone is. And you try to say to yourself, okay, this is weird times. People are making knee-jerk reaction decisions and things of this nature. You read something and decide to purport that that's the way it should be. I don't know how you call for somebody's resignation. I mean, ultimately, enough people get together and use their voice. That's how it happens. We can be upset about it. Even the restaurant industry, we sit back and look at what's happening nationally. The airlines are possibly going to get some of this new government money because their voice is gigantic and they're unionized. And it's not a whole lot of unions in restaurants, even though there's a bazillion restaurant people working in the industry nationally. We just don't have the clout and the collaboration and the organization to go push politics in the right direction. You need to donate money. You need to be in somebody's ear. You need to have a city councilor up there that actually worked in a restaurant or owned a small business to make these kind of changes happen. So whether someone asks for her resignation, I'm sure she'll want to run again. And the
she has said she will run again.
The mayor is it's perfectly okay with me for her to do whatever she does.
And now she's pushing for a strong mayor form of government.
Well, the city of Charlottesville should have a strong mayor form of government. Whether it be with Nakai or not would be a question we could have. But nevertheless, I don't begrudge her pushing her agenda and doing what she does. She got elected. She's the mayor. She can do it any way she chooses. There's nothing in my mind that makes me believe that she doesn't really care about what she's doing. The fact that I completely disagree with almost everything she says and does, and the way she spreads hate, and the way she seems angry, and the way that I never see compromise or ideas, and uses social media to lash out, that's just one man's opinion about the way she rolls.
I agree with this man's opinion.
But that's okay that she does it, just like it's okay for me to try to stay away from social media. I don't like it in politics. I think it creates huge chasms where people can just attack. Like if I come up and say, hey, I think I just caught city management doctoring up numbers, telling lies in the budget material, and found out that somebody on city council went in and asked one of our city officials to change a bit of data in a report to make mills tax look progressive instead of regressive, to push a tax thing through. I should be able to go up, present my information, and say it without having a group of different social media outlets, whether it be the affordable housing lobby or this one or that one, all things that I agree with completely, suddenly unleashed on me to attack me, to break me down personally, to break down my business. It's just such an ugly way to run a city. And politics is an interesting place. It's all about getting your leverage, getting your power, getting your followers. I can't stand any of that. And I really don't like watching people abuse it as opposed to use it.
David Kostelnik is giving you props. Stacy Brookman watching the show. Ted Norris.
I believe that's Castiglione.
Yeah, I've said his name wrong. That's who it is.
All right.
Yeah, he's watching.
Early
Ted
Mountain.
Norris is watching. Kelly Lewis is watching. We are going to welcome Boston, Massachusetts to the program. and Alexandria, Virginia to the show. So you have some questions coming in. I knew you would. You're respected, well-respected individual. Are you fearing as an association with such a tremendous budget deficit in front of the city, a budget deficit that is so potentially impactful that they're in a lot of ways strong-arming the restaurants on the mall and threatening to repo their cafes from them if they don't pay rent? And the rent is not a ton of money, okay? But that really puts in perspective the budget deficit. Are you fearful that they're going to come to you guys and say, we're going to raise the meals tax again?
Well, I'm going to apologize now for anyone who is expecting me to come in with factual data about this year's budget. I have been too busy taking to-go orders at the restaurant and homeschooling my 8-year-old daughter to dive into the budget materials this year. What I do think I have heard is that we're looking at a projected $12+ million deficit. We had $5.8 million of surplus last year, of which we're allocating $1.2 million to some sort of new study. If we're spending $1.2 million on a study, my guess is that it's not quite as dire as they're making it out to be. Now, where they're going to get their money and their revenue, I have no idea. Just the hotel, the TOT, transit occupancy tax, and the meals tax decrease in since March, it's huge. They're down 60%. That's like what? I'm just throwing numbers out of my head. It's $7 million or something that they're not going to get out of this past year. So I don't know. I'm not fearful anymore because you just can't scare me. It just doesn't work. I'm just not scared. If you want to be scared of these kind of things anymore, you should just get out of Charlottesville if you want to be a small business owner. Now, will we stand up and fight for it? We're trying. We've got a group of restaurants owners and stuff getting together again this weekend to kind of reconsolidate the association and figure out whom we can speak with to try to stop any future tax increases from happening. Because, I mean, what are you going to do? Again, this is my joke, and for all the divorce lawyers out there, don't take this personally. You really want to change the structure, you come up with some sort of flat tax, or you just get somebody in the General Assembly to say, hey, why don't we just throw a 3% tax on every divorce and every DUI case in Charlottesville? We'd have all the money we need, and the restaurants would be off the hook.
David says you're a true pro. He's giving you props from Early Mountain. You got a lot of people watching here. So, Peter, here's the question that is coming on the feed. If the restaurants rally together and get a more organized and stronger association, which I think you've been lobbying for this for a long time. You and Laura at Blue Moon have tried to push this, if memory serves correctly.
We worked really hard at it for years, and we went through 2 meals tax increases. And at one point, we had a couple counselors on the ropes back in the day. And then when it came time for everybody to show up at City Council for the big meeting, when you really need the optics and you really need to put the pressure on, 1 out of 100 people that said they were coming showed up. And that's because people are busy. Everybody's asking us, why can't you guys just get somebody in the restaurant world or the hotel world or the small business world to run for a council seat?
I can answer that question for you.
I can too. It takes a lot of time. If I wanted to run for council and I thought I could make a difference,
your business would suffer.
Well, even if I could, I would need deep pockets. I would need money. It doesn't pay anything.
Right.
And the amount of energy you expend only to ultimately be despised by half of the city for the decisions you make, and then you get in there and realize that all the things you wanted to do, you're suddenly hamstrung by bureaucracy and ineptitude.
It's the opposite
and
of being
systematic
an entrepreneur.
problems. It really is. And so it's a really interesting spot that the very people we need to be on council, we don't need a whole council full of business people. We need somebody in the small business world, somebody that's got an education background, somebody that understands affordable housing and minority issues. Like, you need specialists in all these categories that come from different places to work together. And I haven't seen that happen in a hot minute.
Andre Xavier, Peter is a smart man. Maya will survive. The food is fantastic. It will not be easy, but they will survive. Winter, getting from here until April 1. What are we thinking? What's the strategy? What's the advice? You're in a unique position, and why you're in a unique position and it's a testament to your vision, Christian's vision. You have a patio. It's legit patio. You also, if it gets particularly frigid, you also have multiple areas of indoor dining. You got the fabulous upstairs, you got the bar area, you got multiple areas here.
You know what's interesting, and
Someone like a Limo Mangione does not have that.
They don't. We're fortunate in that way, and we also can control our own rent. So like we're charging ourselves a percentage of sales now when we pay rent every month. You know,
Because
our landlord's pretty friendly.
Yeah, they own the building.
Right, but
That was a brilliant move.
But we still need to put money into the real estate thing because we have to pay the mortgage. We've got years to go.
Right.
Can't just stop. But we have been able to reduce our original lease and say, hey, can we survive on just a percentage of sales that allows the business to run? Now, here's another interesting spot is, we've been seating the patio only. We have 10 tables under the tent, spaced 6 feet apart with planters that we feel comfortable with, and a couple tables outside if the weather's nice. Once we move inside, if we put a couple people in the side dining room, which will have to be our new entrance, maybe 2 booths, and then we seat our upstairs.
You lose seating, right?
We can actually mirror exactly what we're doing now.
Oh, you can?
10 or 11 tables. If they were all, the 4 tops were full, imagine that. Every table you have 4 people, actually 4 people are sitting at. Only 2 people wanted to eat that were 2 tops every night. Then we could do 35 or 40 people on 2 turns. That's just enough with to-go food to break even and survive until April. That's what we're doing now. We're surviving, and it's because we're doing so much online ordering and because we've whittled our staff down to bare bones, and we're lucky that our staff has been with us for so long. A lot of them came back when they could still be getting unemployment to help us out. A lot of them are working a day they don't want to have to work. I don't want to work that many days, but we've got to do this. Ted came out from behind the bar and is waiting tables and bussing food and hosting and seating people. There aren't any more hosts anymore. There are no expos. There's just 3 or 4 people and a manager doing everything because the business can't afford to produce proper service for the customer the way we used to because there's just not enough money to go around in payroll.
Our mayor alluded that to-go and takeout was enough for restaurants to survive.
And for restaurants, how about we take every single restaurant in town and we have everyone sit down with her and show her our numbers and we say, hey, holy cow, in my little tiny model, that's pretty much what I was doing already. You're right. And for the other 96% of us, we'll say, look at that math and tell me how much money I'm going to have to borrow to make it until April and whether I'm going to do it. I mean, think about this. We all got PPP loans. The forgiveness, 6 months is up for almost all of us, end of October. We don't even know if the money is going to be forgiven. We're assuming it is because we were smart about it and we did it right. What if all of a sudden I or somebody else is on the hook for $140,000 at any interest rate to pay back? We'll shut the doors tomorrow. Take that. You can just eat that. Thanks for nothing. To-go food will not cover the rents on these commercial properties, the triple net leases, the property taxes, the landlords that aren't giving anybody a break. The answer is absolutely not. To-go food is not enough for almost any restaurant in town.
And to show, and this is coming from me, this is not coming from him, this is coming from me, to further showcase her being out of touch in this situation, she referenced Grubhub and DoorDash. If you're really in touch with it, you're encouraging the marketplace to call the restaurant directly, sidestep the third party that takes the profit margin, the Grubhubs, the DoorDashes, and the Postmates. Call this man directly, the Limo Mangiones directly, and then get in your car and do curbside pickup.
Yeah, and there are some POS systems now like Toast partnered up with DoorDash, and if you do an online order at Maya now, you can get a DoorDash driver to bring it, and instead of us taking a 30% hit or a 26% hit, it's down to like 7 or 8% or something like that. But if we were just a true to-go model business, we would just build in around that, and we would jack up our prices to cover our delivery fees. But we really can't. Like, oh, it cost me this much to come pick it up, and it cost me that much to deliver it. There's always the psychology of the purchase. And we don't want to overcharge people. We don't want to raise prices. You know, a lot of people are starting to try to charge a sanitation fee.
Yeah, I saw that.
Just to cover the fact that a
PPE
$1,000 pack of rubber gloves used to cost $25. Now it's $130. Paper bags, plastic King Dough containers. How many times have I gone to Costco and loaded up 3 things just with the plastic snap pops so that we can do the to-go food, but we don't raise the price, even though it's costing us more and more to take the food out. It's the cost of doing business in a pandemic. So the restaurants are their margins are getting smaller while we're trying to put out the same amount of food at the same price. And it's a challenge.
This question coming in from one of the QIM guys right across the street. Have you guys considered putting a model together and doing a clear presentation of how the industry is positively impacting the area, and also the alternative model, if they don't get support from the city, what could happen to the local economy if the industry collapses?
You know, it's interesting because not only are we living the model, we have been creating this model since March. Did we have any direction when it came time to change it to 50%? Do you put on a rubber glove? Do you wash your hands? Do you sanitize your gloves? We had no idea. We got a bit of this from the CDC that changes things every other week, some state mandates. We all went out there and started trial and error to see what works. Where do you put your sanitizer? How far is your trash can from the door? What signs do you put up on the bathroom? What do you say to the customers when they walk in? You know, how many people are you going to piss off? We better say it this way instead of that way. So we have been creating the model of how to do this. Now, how to put a model together that says, if we do it, if you really want to help the industry, you take every cent of the transit occupancy tax, which they're going to be dying to get a hold of to fill in the budget gaps, and you put it straight towards marketing, the whole hospitality industry. If 0.5% of the meals tax can go straight to the debt service, the only thing it's allocated to specifically is debt service, which is a couple $1 million a year. We collect the tax and it goes straight to pay the city. Why can't we allocate 0.5% for 2 years to the affordable housing projects that they used last time to justify the increase? Why can't we put 1% of the meals tax and all the TOT tax into a marketing fund to push more business and to market the county and the city? And I'll tell you why, because our CACVB is made up of politicians.
Amen.
It's outrageous.
Mayor
They all
Walker,
have
a board member on that.
She is a board member, and she, God bless her, she may be the most wonderful person in the world, and I'm not going to say a negative word about her, but I can honestly tell you, she does not care about business or small business or the tax money that it generates, because if she did, she would listen, and she would make decisions based on the information that we give, not just whatever somebody throws and puts in front of her, or she reads on the TV.
This
or she
seems
sees
like
on a
common
Facebook
sense.
feed. Point being, I'm not here to bash anybody, but if we really want to move this market forward and build a model for the future where we support the hotels and we support the restaurants and the wineries and the breweries, because the wineries and the breweries that have big spaces now, they're kicking it. And they're probably generating a lot of the tax revenue that's going to be coming into the city and the county. That's going to dry up as soon as it gets cold. You're not taking your blanket out to Early Mountain to have a beautiful afternoon. You can still go inside to their wonderful facility, but there's a lot of revenue that's just going to disappear. Now, why aren't we driving more business to the city of Charlottesville from everywhere? I just saw the CACVB has a lot of new stuff working right now. Our top 11 markets that are sending people to Charlottesville, the first one is Norfolk. And as you go down the line, like number 10 was Denver, Colorado. You know, most of them are local and Baltimore, Maryland, New York.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow.
Yeah, short drives, day trips.
Denver, Colorado.
Yeah.
The metrics are showing that 3% of our hotel stays in the last specific amount of time were coming all the way from Denver. Wow, let's make that 6%. Let's get people coming in from everywhere to Charlottesville. You can't do that without marketing. And where does the marketing money come from? It comes from the taxes that we collect as the people in the industry that need the marketing. It's very simple.
Adam Healy, who was the interim director of the CACVB, basically outlined exactly what he just said. and said, this is exactly what a place like Asheville, North Carolina is doing, but we are not doing that in Charlottesville. We'll welcome Los Angeles, California to the show. Austin, Texas is watching the broadcast right now. Here's an interesting question, and you don't have to handle this if you don't want to. What do we think that more, this is coming in from John, who's watching in McLean. Jerry, I love coming to Charlottesville with my wife and kids. We went to the University of Virginia. We come down as much as possible, especially now during COVID. We're coming down even more because there's just a little bit more room to breathe, and we feel a lot safer in CVille than we do in Northern Virginia. Can you ask your guest how many of the restaurants we think that could potentially not make it through winter, and then if they do not make it through winter, how that could impact projections from meals taxes that the city relies upon?
I'd like to think that we have some smart people down in economic development. I know we have some smart people in the treasurer's office. I have faith in our new city manager, even though I have not met him yet. I have heard some good things. I mean, it's not rocket science. There's a budget, there's money that's coming in, there's going to be a shortfall, a big one, because we're not doing any revenue. If the downtown mall is down 30% and restaurants across the board in the city are at 55% of last year's sales, man, you're talking about half of the meals tax that was collected. The hotels right now are having to reduce their rates. Occupancies are way down. A lot of them are making money because they're getting paid by the university to run isolation models for students that are sent over. But as the winter time comes and flu season hits, we're not seeing upward trends in long-term stays in the hotel industry. And likewise, we expect to see a lot less people traveling just because it's the dead of winter. Charlottesville's an awesome place, but it's a lot more fun when you're going hiking and you're going kayaking and you're going out to a winery and you're having some fun. So the numbers typically drop in the wintertime. So I wouldn't want to have to do the budget for the city right now. I'll be honest with you, can't be a pretty picture.
We got, you and I are 45 minutes in. We got about 7 minutes longer. Sarah Whitney from Tiger Fuel, if you're watching. I'd like to go about 7 more minutes with Peter Castiglione here of Maya Restaurant. Then we'll reach out to you. What am I missing? What are we not covering? What needs to get out there? You have 2 city councilors and 1 Albemarle County Board of Supervisors watching the show. And I see somebody, I see the City Hall Facebook page tuned in as well, like it has been most of this year.
Well, let me say this, for everyone down at City Hall and for everybody that works in the city that has been working with us, bringing us masks, asking us questions, figuring out what to do. I'm not sure why they took all the signs down on West Main Street the other day that were for
the curbside pickup.
Curbside pickup.
Yeah.
Nobody told us they were taking them down. Yeah, I don't know. Keep communicating with us. For whoever came up with the idea to use the grant money that was given by the feds in the county to do heaters into tents. I don't know whose decision that was, but hooray for the people that got together and decided to do that. For the people in city council that just had a decision to make about how many million did we have to spread around from the government?
A good amount.
18% went to business. 18% as of last Monday night was voted of that money to put towards small business.
And it was a 4-1 vote. You know who the one
would
who
you
voted
please,
against
Would you
it?
please stop baiting me
into
trashing the mayor?
The one that voted against allocating the money to the small businesses was the mayor.
And I think a good thing there is I understand that half of that is already earmarked for minority businesses and women-owned businesses.
That's correct.
Too bad it's not 40%, and those minority and women-owned businesses would have a better chance of getting a chunk of that money. Or for the rest of us that all need it going into the wintertime, any amount of grant money or anything that we can find, we will spread it around across the restaurant industry and use it to keep our people employed.
What are we going to do, Peter? What should we do? What should the community do? They have to continue supporting, continue doing curbside, continue doing takeout, call directly to the restaurants. I mean, you got 26 of your restaurant colleagues now watching you here.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know that I can ask our community to do any more than they've been doing, at least from looking through my eyes and from Christian Kelly's eyes, what we've witnessed since March. We couldn't be more thankful for how the community has reached out to us and supported us through the curbside pickup and the online ordering, and just the generous donations, the gift certificate purchases. I mean, we would not be here if it weren't for every single one of you, Alan Powell, Landon, all of you that came in and made these generous donations, the Chris Long Foundation, the Blue Moon Group, all these people. They've been doing this for us. They've been doing it for everybody. Please, if you can keep doing those things, keep doing it, because we've gotten through this first push, but the rubber's going to meet the road come December 1st when it gets cold. And those 4 months are really going to be where we find if we have enough traction to push, or if we're just going to start watching restaurants drop like flies. So it's just keep supporting. If you work in the city, if you work for the city, you know, when you're sitting at lunch having a chat, maybe just say something nice about how you sure wish the restaurant industry could get a little bit more help. Grease the wheels, breathe positive energy into the happy bubble.
Bruno Moon says our Bailey has your Maya shirt and loves it.
Oh, thank you so much. We would like to buy some more Maya shirts and some more marketing materials. Hopefully that'll hit the budget here next April.
Laura Monk is watching in North Downtown. You did a good job with this interview, Mr. Castiglione. We will be calling you this weekend for some of your fritters, some steak, and some to-go food.
Sounds like somebody knows our menu. Like it.
Barbara Lundgren says, Jerry, start the petition to remove the mayor now. I will be the second signature behind yours. Multiple people putting that on the feed. I'm not even going to throw that to my friend Peter. I said that, Mayor. He did not. I said that, Mayor, not you. 2 minutes left, and we have to go to Sarah Whitney here of Tiger Fuel. I'd be remiss not to ask you, as a dad, how homeschooling, how virtual learning is going, Peter.
Well,
and maybe Lulu.
You know, I have to give the city credit. What happened last fall and how they changed it last spring, and how they changed it going into this fall was pretty impressive. She does her studying on her Chromebook. We have a little pod in the neighborhood we do a couple days a week. One of our employees, Melanie, who's been with us for years, goes over and helps kind of be a teacher a couple days a week.
More like a tutor.
More like a tutor, yeah.
She helps us with technical problems, and she helps us with our homework, and she reminds us to get back on after lunch because we have 1 hour break for recess and lunch.
And your teacher, Mr. Lorgan, he's awesome, right?
Yeah, Mr. Lorgan, he works really hard to
We
teach us
have the school
everything.
dance tonight in the parking lot at 6 o'clock.
Really? Mm-hmm. What does that mean? Is it you? Is it father,
No,
daughter?
Oh, it's the family, father,
It's my
daughter,
mom, too.
moms too. Yeah, we're all going.
And I'm signed up with my pod buddies.
And I think Heather Hill may have had something to do with getting that started a couple years ago, and we usually do it at Charlottesville High School. And if you did, Heather, thank you. It's a fantastic, fantastic fun time for the kids and the parents.
Lulu, you are incredibly well-spoken and confident. I'm very impressed. A lot of times, folks, even adults come on here and are very intimidated by the lights and camera. And let me ask you this question.
She gets that from her mother, you realize.
Let me ask you this question. Your dad, how hard is he working over at Maya?
Really, really hard. So I really want to help him, and he works really hard to keep me safe, and he also works really hard to keep everybody safe and to keep my mom safe. And I really love my dad because he works so hard.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why you got to get one of these if you don't have one. They make you feel so
I
good.
got a 2.5-year-old, and you're making me get choked up over here. My eyes are watering. Lulu, what does Maya Restaurant mean to you?
It really means a lot. The food is really yummy, especially the crab cakes, the mac and cheese.
What's your favorite drink to get at the bar?
The Mad Mangoes, because it's really tangy.
That
and
is a
sweet.
mocktail, everyone. That is a mocktail.
I
She can't wait for the bars to open back up so that she can get Ted's Mad Mango.
Ted Norris makes great mocktails. Judah's loving this over here. So are the viewers. All right, Lulu, you might be the highlight of the show today. Let me close by this. Anything you want to say at all? School, Charlottesville, anything?
My school. And CVille. I love CVille, and I love my school because they're working super hard to keep everybody safe. And in a couple months, I guess, they might actually reopen it, and we're going to have to wear masks. But I'm really happy that I get such a good school with so many good educators and some really nice friends in my class.
You are amazing. Can I tell you what the folks are saying? Barbara Lundgren says, well done, Lulu. Kevin Higgins says, Peter, get ready for this. Kevin Higgins says, my vote and my signature on the petition is to replace the mayor with Lulu Castiglione.
Lulu for mayor. Lulu for mayor.
For mayor. Vic Bright is giving Lulu some props right now. You're getting love from McLean, Virginia, Richmond, and Albuquerque right now, Lulu. This just came in for Grace. Lulu for mayor. Lauren Linsky, what a beautiful and smart daughter Peter has. And Lulu, what's she mean to you, Peter?
She's everything. She makes it, she's the reason you get up and do it when you're having that bad day and you just want to throw in the towel. You just realize that you've got such a beautiful young person that loves you so much, and you just go out and you do your best to do the best you can. Make that money, keep everybody happy, go for a bike ride, go to music lessons.
You guys are awesome.
Thanks.
You guys are awesome. Wish you the best. Anything you guys need at all. I mean, I think it's obvious to 98.9% of the people in this community that the bedrock of Charlottesville and Central Virginia is you guys. The reason people come on these visits is to patronize restaurants like yours. Scott Aaronworth is watching in Virginia Beach, the Esquire. He says, Lulu rocks, and I come to Charlottesville to spend my money for restaurants.
We're very fortunate, and that's the great thing about the restaurant business is everybody loves a good restaurant. And we have lots of them here, so let's support them and make sure that they stay.
Amen, brother. Thank you. I could spend all day with you. I appreciate you. Lulu, you killed it. You killed it. Peter, you always kill it. Appreciate you.
Everybody's beautiful. Every day's a new day. You have two choices when you wake up. You can be happy or you can be pissy. So be happy, everybody.
Be happy. Don't be pissy. I don't like pissy people. No, I don't.
Stop. Okay.
Good job, Peter.
I hope we can edit that closing before everybody sees that. Okay.
That was so good. You guys have a good one.
All right. Thanks, Jared. Thanks so much.
Oh, man, such a good interview. Sarah Whitney, I'm going to reach out to you. We have more Lulu for Mayor comments coming in right now. Judah Cristal is watching at CNO. If you can see them out real quick, and then I'll get Sarah Whitney on the feed. Anja Andalik is watching at FIG on the UVA corner. Peter Castiglione is the man. I can take this off because they are walking out. Guys, we're lucky to have him. We're lucky to have Mike Rohde stands up and speaks for the industry. In fact, he wrote the letter to everybody, to council. Lloyd Snook responded to that letter and said, look, I don't think we're going to enforce the collection of the cafe rents. Only time will tell. It's been a tumultuous 4 or 5 days for restaurants. As the mayor said over the weekend, we have to consider banning indoor dining. She essentially doubled down on that on Facebook. Midweek, then we have City Hall threatening the downtown restaurants with the removal of their cafes if they don't pay their rent. Judah, I'm going to reach out to Sarah Whitney of Tiger Fuel now. In fact, I'm Skyping her in as we speak. We're just trying to bring news that is important to this community, to you guys, in an approachable fashion. We have Sarah on the line. If you can give me a thumbs up when to welcome her. All right, we got you here. I love the branding in the background. It's the first thing that caught my attention, Sarah. That sign is so dope. And then you got the badge on as well. All right, let's talk, before we talk shop, Sarah, thank you for joining us. How about an introduction to you personally, and then we'll talk shop. The show is yours, Sarah.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me and Tiger Fuel. I am the marketing director at Tiger Fuel Company and have worked here for about 2 years. I've been in Charlottesville for over 7.5 years now. Not a local to this area. I'm actually from Massachusetts. went to William & Mary and VCU and found my way in Charlottesville and haven't left, and part of an amazing local family-operated company.
Tiger Fuel, absolutely amazing. How about a snapshot into this family-owned business?
Sure. So we've actually been around since 1982. We're a fuel supplier, so support commercial and residential heating. We also have 10 car washes, 10 Tiger washes, and 9 markets. They're gourmet to go delis. One of our most popular ones is the market at Bel Air, but we have 4 gourmet to go delis: Bel Air, Preston, Ruckersville, and Mill Creek.
Vic Bright says the Tiger Way rocks. We have Tim, who's watching in Belmont, says, I love their French bread sandwiches. We have Laura Carini's watching. She says, when I visit Charlottesville, I get the Keswick. We have Dave Smith saying, I get the Farmington all day, every day. All right, so more comments. We'll table those for now. Why we wanted to spotlight you for a number of reasons was the commitment to the community from a philanthropic standpoint. You guys embody that mindset. How about some insight into what you're doing with the Land Trust?
Absolutely. We are participating in the Play the Game of Equity. It's important to us to provide permanently affordable homes in the greater Charlottesville area, and that's what the Land Trust attempts to do. And Tiger is on Team Franklin Street. We donated $1,000 in this game, and I think we're a little bit behind. Team Carlton Ave is leading the charge, but I'm on a team with James King and Ted Horn with Martin Horn, and we're just slightly behind Team Carlton. So it's important to us to ensure that we have affordable housing in this community, particularly for Tiger Fuel. We reside in the Belmont area. So some of our neighbors in this local community may have participated in something with the Thomas Jefferson Land Trust, and we feel like it's very important, and why we exist is to make sure that our customers are safe, comfortable, and warm in their homes. And when we hear that maybe that isn't happening, we need to do something about it. So this Play the Game of Equity is basically looking to fund 12 zero-energy homes in 2 parcels in the city of Charlottesville, and that's why we've committed $1,000 to supporting that effort.
Very cool. David and Rex rock the Tiger Fuel car washes a couple times a week. That was just put on the feed here. How about some insight into and this is a tough question for you, some insight into the company in totality, macro question. How many employees, how many team members? I think if we get that message out there, it'll just really show how much Tiger Fuel has been woven into the fabric of Charlottesville's identity.
Absolutely. So we employ 270 team members. My pin here, it says join the Tiger family. So we're always looking to grow. You can go to nowhiring.com/Tiger to learn about some of our current opportunities, both at our Charlottesville corporate office. But we have 4 bulk heating plants, so Charlottesville, Orange, Appomattox, and Livingston. There's opportunities as transport drivers, propane drivers, as well as in the office and administration. And then we have 9 convenience stores and 10 car washes. So there's a lot of opportunities with market associate positions, as well as in management in our car washes and at the markets. And one thing that's so amazing about our company is that a lot of people who have started in one position have been able to grow, to a new spot later on. So we love our people. We're always looking to add pickle people. So basically, we encourage our employees to give the customers the pickle. It's based off of this story from Bob Farrell. He's a restaurant chain owner, and there was a customer who asked for a pickle with their meal, and they didn't want to charge the customer for the pickle. They just gave them the pickle. So anytime we can give our customers the pickle, which is just greeting them with warm smiles, hugs, asking them how their day is going and anything we can do to make it better. That's what we try to do. So always looking for pickle people.
One of your colleagues, I believe, and I'm not sure if he is a colleague, I think he's a colleague by what he's posting, Ryan Whitlock. He loves that you just dropped the pickle people on the show right now. I got this question coming in from Richmond. Jerry, when we come for game day, we always swing by Bel Air and get some sandwiches, some beers, and some snacks for tailgating before kickoff. I'm curious if your guest has an opinion, because they serve a lot of food, on some of the challenges the restaurants are facing now, not only in a COVID landscape, but from local government. That's a good question. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Well, obviously, it's been a challenge that the university, is operating under some of these conditions, and we completely understand that we need everyone to stay safe and healthy. We've done what we can to really elevate the level of convenience at our store. So really fortuitous, but actually the week prior to COVID, we launched an online ordering component, both on our website and on our mobile app. And that allows for prepayment, ordering sandwiches online, and curbside pickup or pickup inside the store. And that was just something we're just so grateful we were able to do. We had no idea, obviously, COVID was going to make this kind of impact on our business, but we're grateful that we've been able to serve our customers who maybe want to stay outside and not come into the store. That's one way that we're trying to really, our business. But we're also just taking it really seriously. All of our employees are masked up all day, constantly sanitizing. We have plexiglass shields that actually one of our propane distillate drivers, Barry, custom built for us, which was really awesome to see. And, we've hired cleaning companies and just the social distancing decals. So you can trust that our stores are constantly sanitized, the pumps are being sanitized, and we're doing the very best that we can to serve our customers in this current environment.
You handled that question very well, Sarah Whitney. You handled that very, very well. More comments coming in for Tiger Fuel. Scott Aaronworth is watching in Virginia Beach. He's the Esquire. He says, the Farmington may be my all-time favorite sandwich. Scott Aaronworth, we love when you watch this broadcast. Oh, we got a little sandwich war going on. This one coming in from Jennifer, who's watching in Crozet. No, it's not the Farmington, it's the Keswick all the way. More people talking about, as Taylor Sutton said on this very show, your delicious French bread sandwiches on the feed as we speak. All right, let me throw this. We'll get back to affordable housing here. So you are, how long have you been in Charlottesville?
7.5 years.
Okay, can you put in perspective the challenges or the plight of someone who's 7.5 years in from an affordable housing standpoint and just from an affordability in Charlottesville? Because this place ain't cheap.
No, it's not. Well, it's an amazing place to be, and that's why I'm still here. I think it is a challenge to be a homeowner in this environment, and I think that's why the land trust is an important way to ensure that's possible for people. The land trust owns the land, then the home buyer will actually purchase the home under a conventional mortgage. And this saves the home buyer typically 20 to 40% of the total cost. I have not personally purchased a home just because I would like to do that under more, solidified personal conditions. So I'm happy to rent. And I do think it is a little bit unnerving when you see average home prices in the $400,000 to $500,000 range in some of these zip codes, particularly from, I'm from Massachusetts. That's not something that would shock me up there. But this is not like a major metropolitan area, but obviously very desirable. The livability factor is huge here. And that's why I think it's important for us to support the land trust and identify those who may be in need and want to be homeowners.
I love it. Jennifer is watching, Jennifer Carini. She says, my family prefers the Batesville and the Afton sandwiches, Jerry. Tiger Fuel sandwiches are absolutely fantastic. I agree with you. I think the land trust is the best solution we have to creating some kind of affordability solution, especially with such a small percentage of Albemarle County being actually allowed for development. If we're restricting the supply of developable land, of course we're going to have the direct result of price increases and it eventually becoming just extremely expensive to live here. How's Charlottesville been to you, do you think, from a receptive standpoint since you've moved? Easy to get along, easy to get in the mix, difficult to get in the mix? What was your personal experience?
Well, I actually started working at the university. That's a great place, I think, to work and get to know a lot of people in this community. I would say when you move to a new place, especially in your 20s, it might take a little bit of time to develop that friend group. But I'm still here and have really met friends who felt like family to me, really involved in, a circle of friends and through church as well. So I absolutely love it here and enjoy the people that I've met. So it's a great place to live. And obviously the Suttons who own and operate Tiger Fuel just, make us all feel like part of their family too.
Good answer right there. Kevin Freeman watching the program. He watches routinely. He says, Jerry, pass along your idea from earlier in the week to Sarah. Thank you for reminding me of that, Kevin. I think we should get an I Love CVille sandwich. An I Love CVille sandwich, and then we use our massive platform to drive people to your locations for an I Love CVille sandwich, and then some kind of allocation from that sandwich goes to an affordable housing and affordability nonprofit of some kind. That would crush. And I bet you we could send, I don't want to estimate, but I bet you we could do $10,000 before the end of the year, no problem. 10,000 individual sandwiches. All right, Gordon Sutton, what a rock star. That's coming from Keith Smith, who's watching the broadcast. 2 city councilors and 1 board of supervisor watching. You know where I was really impressed with you is you were on a call, and we don't have to go down this road of the nitty-gritty of why you were calling, but you were on a call with the Board of Supervisors making very persuasive points for that Black Hat location. Did you think when you were taking this role that you would be doing talk show interviews, talking to politicians, wearing so many different hats? Because you do it so well, Sarah.
Oh, gosh, that's really kind. No, I actually... When I worked at the university, was in a very specific marketing role. Obviously, there's large teams, so there's a whole PR team. So, I think the first month into my job, they asked me to be on the radio, and I was like, oh goodness, I've got some work to do. And I'm really trying to, continue working on those opportunities to just improve, because it's not something that comes naturally. But there is, Toastmasters in Charlottesville. COVID kind of took a turn with that one, but that is something that I've been trying out.
Cool. All right, we'll close with this. I'm going to ask you for a message of hope for everybody that's watching. It's an uncertain time. Everyone is scared. Sarah, we miss hanging out with our friends. We miss going to happy hours and eating inside with restaurants and going to concerts at the Pavilion or the Jefferson or the Southern. We just miss what it used to be. And I think eventually we will get back to that point. When is everyone's question. How about a message of hope and positivity for everyone watching?
Oh, wow. I think this is a really challenging time, and people are dealing with a lot of things with online learning or lost jobs. So I think it's okay to, accept that things are different, and there might be a little bit of a mourning process of that. But I think always trying to, flip the switch on where the opportunities may lie. And, whether that's professionally or personally, being able to brighten someone's day, and I guess asking the question of how you can make an impact when you wake up to just make someone's day better and brighter. You know, part of my, I guess, you know, hope in this season, you know, relies on some of my faith too. But yeah, I think it's a tough time, but we're gonna make it through. We're gonna get to the other side, and it's amazing to see too the support in this community, and anything that our company can do, but also that we can do personally to just brighten everyone's day. That's important.
Sarah, you killed this interview.
Oh, well, thank you.
Exceptional. I'm going to say Gordon and Taylor, how about a big time bonus for this lady at Christmas time? You absolutely crushed this. You look fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Well, thank you for having me, and you know, best of luck with the rest of the show.
Thank you. You have a good one.
All right, thanks.
Really a strong business for this community, Tiger Fuel. Strong business. Local, committed to the right endeavors, committed to, I mean, the quintessential social entrepreneurs or conscious capitalists. And I think it's incredibly important to emphasize this. We try to embody this mindset here at I Love CVille. Our small little business has been in business for 12 and a half years. And in those 12 and a half years, we've done, I think it's $116,000 in donations for charities through various endeavors, initiatives, and just donating from sales that come in through the till. Tiger Fuel does that at an incredibly exponentially higher level when compared to us. In a conscious capitalist or a social entrepreneur is someone or a team of someone's that are committed to running their business in the black, for profit, in the black, but doing it in a way where they leave the footprint of their business or they leave the community in a better place than when they first arrived. That's a conscious capitalist and a social entrepreneur. And Tiger Fuel embodies that. The restaurants in this community, just about all of them, embody that mindset. So I think it's incredibly important for us to truly acknowledge, appreciate, champion, and pedestal the small and medium-sized businesses in this community, and the majority of them in this community are small and medium-sized businesses, and to not only understand that they're creating jobs, not only understand that they're driving revenue that the various municipalities are utilizing to improve the municipalities, roads, teachers, police, EMTs, et cetera, but folks also driving opportunities and charitable donations to the nonprofits in this area that are committed, like the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust, that are committed to the short and long term of this community and bettering the community. Tiger Fuel embodies that mindset. I Love CVille and our team tries to embody that mindset as well. And that's why it is so truly painful and truly agonizing and truly frustrating and truly infuriating when the mayor of this town says, if you have a business and it fails, just start another one. That's what she said. And from where I stand, that is the definition of a slap in the face to the thousands of business owners in this community that have risked when I started this company 12 and a half years ago, I put my entire life savings into the business. It was $32,000. I had no customers with my business, the advertising agency, for almost 7 months. It was at the point where the condo I was living in at the time, that is now fortunately a rental property, I was living in a condo at the Villas at Southern Ridge down 5th Street Extended. I was trying to run a business out of this bachelor pad. Nothing was going positively with the business. I had to ask my two buddies Tom and Shannon, you know who you are, to move into this 3-bedroom condo, and I offered them rent, an opportunity to rent from me well below market. I think it was like $400 a room, and I was paying all utilities. If it wasn't for my 2 close friends moving into these 2 rooms and kicking $800 to a $1,050 mortgage, then you have the HOA, the electric, the water, cable, et cetera, upkeep, wear and tear. If it wasn't for their $800, I'll straight up be honest with you, I would have defaulted on that mortgage, lost that property. I was going to the Panda Garden Buffet across from John Paul Jones Arena, University Hall, for their lunch buffet. And when they were not looking, I was taking food from my plate and scraping it into Ziploc bags. And then I would take those Ziploc bags of fried rice, of General Tso's, and sweet and sour chicken, and that was my food for the next couple days, and the food my dog, Lucy, rest in power, Lucy, you chow chow German Shepherd mix, I miss you, the food Lucy would eat for a couple days. And when it wasn't stolen Chinese food from Panda Garden, it was me lifting seat cushions anywhere I was at to find $1.04 or $1.05 for a double cheeseburger from McDonald's. Okay? And I say that not for sorrow or pity, I say that to put in perspective what all of us as small and medium-sized businesses have to go through when launching. I've taken one vacation in 12 and a half years. My wife and I went on our honeymoon. We came back pregnant, and that created another job, Trey, our 2.5-year-old. You know, we work 7 days a week, and when we're not at work, we're thinking about work. We work holidays, and when we're not at work on a holiday, we're brainstorming ways to make the model more innovative and improve it. To have someone say, if something fails, just start it again, is a slap in the face, and it's a reflection of someone being a part-time employee at the Parks and Rec Department before being elected to council. And we need to open our eyes to this, because the tax base for Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and I need everyone to hear this. If you live in Fluvanna, if you live in Orange, if you live in Nelson, if you live in Greene, your counties, your homes, and where you live are 1,000% tied to Charlottesville City. And as Charlottesville City goes, that creates a ripple or trickle-over impact throughout Central Virginia. And right now, Charlottesville City is vulnerable. It's vulnerable not only from a budget deficit standpoint, it's vulnerable not only from uneasiness from a social justice standpoint, it's vulnerable from the wealth gap is expanding standpoint, it's vulnerable from an affordability standpoint, it's vulnerable because the UVA business model, frankly, is a little shaky right now. What happens if COVID drives momentum behind higher education and virtual learning? Does that mean you have less in person and more learning here? Like Helen Dragas, formerly of the Board of Visitors, wanted to do? We need to stand up, speak up, and make our voices heard and make them be consistent. Because if we don't, the community that we love will change, and it will change in a way that we're not going to like. I understand the influence we have in this town. We are reaching more people than any brand or media outlet in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, and it's not close, and it's backed by metrics. That's the beautiful thing about digital, Facebook, and social, is I can back everything with metrics. It's not random surveys that are sent to 500 homes that are then extrapolated and used as the barometer to gauge viewership or listenership across an entire region. This is backed by metrics. So I understand the responsibility and the influence we have here. And I will continue to use that platform to speak up for something that I see going in the wrong direction until it's headed in the right direction. This town, I've been here since I was a first year at the University of Virginia. Came as a kid, grew into a man, persuaded my wife to quit a six-figure plus hedge fund job at Blackstone in the city of New York to move to Charlottesville. She was on a track to do whatever the heck she wants, working for the #1 hedge fund in the world, making bank. Quit that job, came down here, worked for the family, worked for this business. I got a kid who's 2.5. We're having conversations about a second. Nothing more than I want to do than grow old. 50, 55 years, 60 years from now, my kid and his kids coming to our house in eastern Albemarle County for Christmas. And then we go from Albemarle County to the city to have a steak at the C&O or cocktails at the Alley Light or some barbecue at the Whiskey Jar or some fritters at Maya Restaurant. Nothing more than I want that vision. But if we're not focused on what leadership is trying to do, that concept, that vision of the Charlottesville we love, it's at risk. Please, please, please realize that. Speak up. Stand up. Let your voice be heard. The time is now. It's now. My name is Jerry Miller. This is the I Love CVille Show. You have a good weekend. You keep it local. You shop local. You keep your dollars in the community. And you support the people that need the support. We'll see you back here on Monday. Take care.